Nice. Nice.
Hello there, and welcome. It has been a while since I've posted. So, before we start, I just want to be clear, I need to delay the giveaway for just a little bit longer. I put out a switch code to help satisfy you guys enough until I can finally do the giveaway. If you want to join, please go to my giveaway video and look at the requirements to join. Next thing, all of these weapons were tested in their recruit forms and were used against a lesser Drask, except for the repeaters, but we'll get to that in a bit. This ranking will also sort out all the weapons in a tier list, and the fully completed tier list will be at the end of the video. Okay, let's get started. Starting off in our trash can tier and at our lowest ranked spot, number 7, is the repeaters. Now to start, the reason I was not able to test them out properly is due to the repeaters not having a base form, and I could not degrade them either. So what I did is I fought a normal Drask, and then I scaled the pistols to the other weapons along with the armor, and I made the stats line up the best I could. Even then, out of all the weapons on this list, this is the one battle I lost. Even if I had won, every time I use them, I just feel like I'm wasting my time. They're a really cool concept for a weapon, but they're just so boring to use, they feel really weak, and in my opinion, they aren't that good, which is why I can't put them anywhere else than the trash can tier. Also, by the way, if you're wondering why my footage in the background is not footage of the repeaters, it's because my footage got corrupted. Okay, now moving into our B tier, these weapons are fast, fun, and effective. They are just good, solid weapons that anyone can use. For our first weapon, at number 6, we have the sword. The sword is by far the most balanced weapon, having good overall damage, range, and speed. The little power-up you can give yourself is also really nice, since you gain some extra damage and can shoot sword beams. Really, the reason why it isn't that much higher is just because of the fact that it doesn't really have that much depth. There aren't really that many super key combos to pull off, meaning there isn't really something you can just spam for tons of damage, unlike other weapons like the hammer, where you can just somewhat spam the ether slam. Overall, the sword is a very good balanced weapon with decent combos and a nice power-up, but isn't quite the best. Alright, for our next weapon in the B tier, and at number 5, we have the axe. The axe is basically a hammer if it wasn't a hammer, but was instead a chop hammer. Well, still feeling like a hammer. But let me hammer out some points. The axe can do crazy amounts of damage and can be thrown for range before being pulled in again for what is basically a mini ether slam. The downside, however, is that it is super slow, meaning it can be hard to hit the monster. The axe is also very good for breaking off parts, but that's not what this tier list is about. There's also mostly less combos, which does weaken the weapon too. Overall, the axe is like heavyweights in Smash. It does tons of damage and can really knock enemies around, but it's so slow that you have to be very careful while using it. But, if mastered, you can really bop some behemoths. Well, now we're going to move into B+ tier. These weapons are really, really good and are better than B tiers, but don't quite have enough to make it into A tier. Coming up at number 4, we have the Warpike, or the Spear, as most people call it. This is a really fun weapon. It might be the most fun weapon in the whole game, but let's talk power. Overall, in my opinion, the Spear is like a better version of the sword. It has some pretty simple combos and is a balanced weapon, but the upside in comparison to the sword is that it just has so much more depth. There are many more combos to pull off and a lot more damage you can do. But by far, the best part is the cannon. Being able to convert damage into a giant laser is insane, and using this tactic, I managed to pull off huge amounts of damage, way more than what I could do with other weapons. But even then, the base attacks don't do the most, so I decided to put the spear in B+. So basically, the spear is a nice, balanced weapon with a powerful gimmick and good all-around stats. Well, now we're getting into our A tier. These are great weapons with awesome stats, powerful gimmicks, and are just all incredibly solid. Coming in at number 3, winning itself the bronze medal, is none other than the chain blades. These bad boys are very versatile weapons, being able to be used in all sorts of scenarios, due to having long-range attacks and the ability to take on enemies from a distance before coming in hot and doing tons of damage. They have plenty of depth and have a lot of great combos, while having a stupid amount of ways to just pump out damage. They're also pretty fun to use if that's what you want in your weapons. The ability to jump off of behemoths and do incredibly powerful strikes also give the chain blades a solid way to dish out damage. To put it out clearly, the chain blades are versatile and have great range, good combos, a solid gimmick, lots of ways to dish out damage, yet they still feel very fun and very unique. Coming up next in our A tier at number 2, taking the silver medal, is none other than the hammer. This is probably the most controversial pick on the list, and people are probably going to call me stupid, dumb, and stupid, but just hear me out. The hammer's like the axe, but in my opinion, it's almost better. You see, even though the hammer is very slow, it is amazing at staggering behemoths. This means you can knock one out and get huge amounts of damage. Speaking of damage, the small ranged attack can also be useful at times, since it allows you to rocket jump for more speed while also doing a little bit of extra damage. The Ether Slam is also pretty great, since when the behemoth is knocked out, you can easily get it and it can do tons of damage. Really, the hammer is just like an axe, but it has better staggers, a better gimmick, and a much more powerful combo to slam style of attacking. Now, for the moment you have been waiting for, winning the gold medal and being crowned the best weapon in the whole game, being the only weapon in S tier. You probably already know what the weapon is, but it is none other than the Ether Strikers, aka the Gauntlets. The Gauntlets are the best weapons, and I think you can see why. They have the highest DPS of any weapon in the game. They have simple yet powerful combos, and they have the best gimmick in the entire game. With a 9+ gauntlet set, the beam can do a maximum of 3,000 damage with Tempest Form and Karma Breaker. That is a stupid good gimmick, especially for a weapon with so many pros. The damage output, like I said, is amazing, but the gauntlets are also pretty good at staggering, which is a nice pro. Even with all of those pros, the gauntlets are still decently fast. They're not as fast as the chain blades or the sword, but they still have a decent amount of speed. To put it blunt, the gauntlets have the best damage output in the whole game, the most overpowered gimmick in the whole game, they can stagger a decent amount, and they still have a good chunk of speed. They're also very fun to use if that's what you want. These bad boys can do any Slayer a solid if used, unless your brain is the size of a squished M&M. Welp, that's my ranking/tier list of all the weapons. Feel free to tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, or you could tell me why you think I should die in a hole, because that is all greatly appreciated feedback. Now, I've got to get back to playing Animal Crossing New Leaf on my Nintendo 3DS. And I thank you all for watching. Welp, that's about to do it. Time to cue to the cringy outro. I said go to the cringy outro. I don't know what's quite going on. It's like I'm recording this just so my video can make it to 10 minutes. But I'm never gonna do that. But I just really hope that this outro comes soon.